Alrighty. So I just spoke with an aoTard, and we were talking about different characters, right? So we were a particular character that would like to a particular character that I would like to bring up that we were talking about was Aaron from Attack on Titan, right? So I state that Aaron has always been a bitch, right? He's always been bitchy. He's always been crying throughout the entire series. He said, and his response was, "Oh, so being traumatized as a 16-year-old kid makes you a bitch." Got it. Now that wasn't like a direct answer to what I was stating. But anyways, so I stated he's not being traumatized. He's not always being traumatized, which is true. He's literally either crying or bitching. And then he goes on to say that imagine the effect it would have on your mind if your head was suddenly filled with the memories of many people and like people who are dying or whatever, seeing into the future, some time traveling bullshit. And then I proceed to say, well, if we're gonna use that logic, first of all, Aaron is the one who killed all those people and literally told himself to do it. He not only told himself to do it, but he killed his mother. So how and then he committed genocide. So how is he traumatized when the people around him, if anything, should be traumatized, right? The people who are being affected by it or the people who are witnessing it. So if we're like I said, if we're using that logic, then I guess Hitler and Ted Bundy and a few other Stalin members or whatever the fuck, even though Ted Bundy isn't a part of that, but I guess Hitler is traumatized because he committed mass genocide or he attempted or whatever. Um, I guess he's traumatized. You know, I don't know how seeing into the future will make you traumatized when you're the one who killed the people and told yourself to do it, and you saved a random person instead of saving your mom. I don't understand how you would be traumatized when you told yourself to do it. That's like me going back in time and saying, "Hey man, you're going to get your memories back and you can literally reverse this, due to time travel because you have godly powers, but I'm going to set you on this path, but you can reverse it obviously. I'm going to set you on this path and you're going to be traumatized. How can you tell yourself to do something ahead of time and then get traumatized? And then see, this is the excuse. People will say, "Oh, he didn't know, he didn't know." Well, if Isayama was such a good writer, he wouldn't use the whole quote unquote amnesia effect. Because of course, the main. I mean, there are so many main characters in anime that get amnesia and don't know why they're doing what they're doing, and then they get like a memory to make them remember everything. The only reason why like characters in anime get amnesia is just so it. First of all, it acts as a plot device, just so the fucking plot can keep moving forward. So if they don't know anything, the plot keeps moving forward, and it becomes a thriller, like a ride. But if they figure that thing out that they had amnesia towards, like Aaron had just complete amnesia to what he was going to do in the future, none of this would have happened. We wouldn't we wouldn't have to have gone through this, and he didn't even know why he was doing it anyway. So the writer just completely retconned his series, A, and he didn't know what he wanted to do with it. So it's just like, of course, you get the typical trope because Isayama is such a bad writer. He has to give his character amnesia for the plot to actually move forward instead of not milking the series and not making it go on forever. Because, like I said, I've already said this in the past. Attack on Titan wasn't supposed to keep going on for as long as it was. It was supposed to end after like a few chapters after season one. It was not supposed to go on for that long. But yeah, another thing I would like to say is, yeah, I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand how you can make an excuse for a mass murderer. I guess it's cool to be a mass murderer in anime, but in real life, it's lame. I guess I don't understand why it would be cool in anime if it's lame in real life. It's completely contradicting, especially when you don't know why you're doing something. And oh yeah, that brings me back to my topic. So the reason why Aaron has amnesia, quote unquote, and a lot of other people or characters, and how Mikasa is quote unquote connected to Amir, is because of aliens. Aliens that aren't even explained in the series. But yeah, that's the end of the topic. I just don't understand how you can excuse a character. Um, I don't understand how you can excuse such a poorly written character. Oh yeah, and then I'll actually let me touch upon this. So I was saying like, okay, um, yeah. So throughout the entire show, Aaron was bitching. He didn't know. He didn't all of a sudden become a badass just because he became edgier. Literally, that's why people started to like him. Um, and then I said Isayama rewrote, like he literally rewrote the character 4 seasons later. He even stated in an interview that I'm going to rewrite. He said that he's going to rewrite his character because he didn't know what he was doing with this main character. He literally didn't know what he was doing, and then he started rewriting Aaron's character. He said, "Oh, let me just give him his memories back out of nowhere. Of course, he has amnesia." And then he started making him this edgy character. And then you later get to find out, oh, he's actually secretly in love with Mikasa. Just complete ass pulls and complete retconning. He didn't know what he wanted to do. The author simply just didn't know what he wanted to do with the series. He didn't. He didn't. He just didn't know what he wanted to do. He didn't explain why people became Titans. And what I mean by that, like he didn't explain where the little parasite came from that infected the spine, the spinal cord that infected the people. He didn't explain any of that. Isayama is a fraud, and he's just a bad writer. The story was not enjoyable at all. The only thing that Attack on Titan had that literally kept people coming back to the anime is that every episode it would leave on like this big cliffhanger or this big action sequence that would, oh, is this character dead or is he alive, he or she, or why did this character do that? There must be some symbolism or meaning behind it. Symbolism and meaning does not mean a well-written story. And if a show has to keep leaving on a cliffhanger for you to keep coming back to watch it, then and it has like cheap shock value where it's like, oh, is this character dead? Is he not? Then it's just a bad show. It's not a good show. I guarantee that if all these Attack on Titan fans who have watched the show, if they didn't watch the show and they just went strictly off of reading the manga, they would have dropped it by season two or those chapters, like chapters I think like 13 through 27 or some shit like that. They would have been dropped it because it isn't good. The whole chapter or season two. So you got season one, just a bunch of let's head into the action. It's all fast paced. Don't give characters the time to breathe. Just bullshit. And then season two is just about Aaron and Rainer having arguments and drama, a bunch of melodrama. And then season three is literally they decided to add politics out of nowhere and tried to make the story deeper and more complex, which failed. And all like everything that they were doing, like I have playlists of people explaining how rushed, not you, I mean, if you go back and watch season 3, you'll see how rushed it is. It like they introduced, I've already mentioned this in prior videos, they've introduced characters like what is his name, Levi's uncle. I always forget his name, literally Kenny. They introduce him and they kill him off at like I'm exaggerating when I say this, but they kill him off like 2 episodes later, after he gives Levi the syringe, just so in the future episodes that he can save Armin. And in the future episodes, they have like this cliffhanger, like, oh, will he save um, fucking Armin, or will he save Irwin? Right? Will he save one of the two? So it has that little value, or factor, that cheap shock factor, like, oh, who is he gonna save? And that's the thing. Those are the types of little elements that keeps the reader, or the, not the reader, because everybody has dropped the manga. Like, a lot, the manga sales were going down, but the anime watcher to keep coming in and watching the anime. That's literally it. And then, so like I said, they added politics to season three. It failed. It was super. It felt super rushed, because it's not like it was foreshadowed and they were building upon this from season one. They just decided to add it in season three, and then season four they rewrote everything and then made it into a mindless action flick again, like season one. I mean, Attack on Titan has always had a bunch of action, and people like to say, "I'll watch it for the plot," but it had no actual plot, like no actual sense of direction. Like, if you can rewatch Attack on Titan and this is even before the ending, and tell me it had plot, then tell me why every season the plot changed. Because in season one, oh, humanity's on the brink of extinction, right? Season two, a chase, literally a big chase scene between Rainer and Aaron, and just a bunch of talking and drama. That's the plot of season two. Plus, Aaron magically gets future powers, and by touching a Marlian, or whatever the fuck, touching his stepmom, right? He literally touched her and got like some random superpowers, some Deus Ex Machina, some Deus Ex Machina. And then season three, it became about politics. So literally, the plot keeps changing. It doesn't have an actual plot. It's just the thing that doesn't keep, or that keeps people coming in, is not the plot, because it does. I just debunked that. It doesn't have an actual plot. The thing that keeps people coming in is that it's a thriller, and it leaves on cliffhangers so you can find out what happens next. It's the whole mystery aspect of what's going to happen next. Not necessarily mystery, but thriller shows are kind of based around, okay, what's going to happen next in this scene, right? Like, okay, what kind of shit is going to pop off in this scene, right? I'm not saying, oh, you watch something for the first time, you don't know what's going to happen. No, I'm saying, like, it's built around its thriller aspect. So it's like, okay, this scene has like some sort of mystery element that is supposed to be built upon, but in Attack on Titan, those things are just implemented and introduced out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden they're important. Like, they'll tell you something about a syringe in season three, rather than back in season one, and tell you how these Titans become Titans because, and get their superpowers and shit, because of syringes and shit. It'll tell you this in season three, and then all of a sudden make it important. Like, it just feels super rushed. But yeah, it's just the thriller aspect that keeps people coming in and watching Attack on Titan. It's not actually interesting or good or has good plot. It doesn't have good plot at all. And in season four, you get to find out that there was no actual plot. Like, literally, there was no actual plot to Attack on Titan. Like, throughout the entire show, there was no plot. But in season four, he just was secretly in love with Mikasa. Like, come on, you can't be taken seriously if you're an Attack on Titan fan.